Welcome back to Basic Mathematics. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to talk about fractions. By that, I mean problem-solving strategies involving fractions, how fractions show up in real-world situations, and how you can use fractions in order to solve some problems. So without further ado, let me get my head out of the way and let's take a look at the word of. The word of in the English language, when talking about things involving numbers, almost always is a representation of multiplication. Consider the phrase half of the 36 applicants. Half, we can think of as the fraction 1/2. Of is multiply and 36. Half of 36 is 1/2 times 36, or 36 over 2, which is 18. Similarly, if I'm talking about 3/8 of the 144 apples, the gross of apples, well, 3/8 is 3 over 8. Of is multiply, and 144 we can always write as 144 over 1, so that we can multiply across. Using our reducing trick, I see pretty quickly that 8 and 144 are divisible by, well, they're divisible by a couple of things. I wrote down 4, but I don't really want to figure out what 144 divided by 4 is. So let's divide by 2 first of all, and get 3 over 4 times 72 over 1. And then let's divide by 2 again to get 3 over 2 times 36 over 1. And let's divide by 2 one last time to get 3 over 1 times 18 over 1. 3 times 18. See, 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 1 is 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. So 3 times 18 is 54. And anything divided by 1 is that thing. So we get here 54. 3/8 of 144 is 54. And with just that, we're able to do a lot of problem solving. In order to make problem solving reasonable, same as we did in previous problem solving, one nice trick is to think about rounding and estimating. Consider 5 3/8 times 4 2/3, multiplying some mixed numbers together. We could multiply this out. We can convert 5 3/8 from a mixed number to an improper fraction. We can convert 4 2/3 from a mixed number to an improper fraction. And then we can multiply those improper fractions and then go from there. There are a lot of situations where we don't really need to know things in that much detail. We just need to get a good ballpark of where the answer should be. And for that purpose, we approximate. We round these numbers to get something that's easy to work with, and we call that answer close enough. When it comes to fractional values, you can use the same trick that you use for rounding in general. If the fraction is smaller than 1/2, then round down. If the fraction is bigger than 1/2, then round up. 3 is smaller than half of 8. So 3/8 is smaller than 1/2. And we round 3/8 down. 5 3/8 rounds down to 5. 4 2/3. 2 is more than half of 3. So 2/3 is more than 1/2. And we take 4 2/3 and round up. And this problem, 5 3/8 times 4 2/3, should be approximately the same as 5 times 5, which I can calculate as 25 without really thinking about it. Is that the exact answer? No, absolutely not. But depending on what you're trying to do, if you're trying to estimate the area of a wall in order to figure out how much paint you need to buy, calling it approximately 5 by 5 is going to give you a close enough answer. To compare, we can just go through and do all of the work. It's not going to be pleasant. Converting from a mixed number to an improper fraction, take the whole part times the denominator. 5 times 8 is 40. Add the numerator, which is 3. So we get 43 over 8. And then we have 4 2/3. Whole part 4 times denominator 3 is 12. Plus 2 is 14 over 3. I do notice that I can make this a little bit easier. Divide by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 8 divided by 2 is 4. All right, 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 4 is 28 plus 2 is 30. And 4 times 3 is 12. So if I want the exact value here, it's 301 over 12. And to rewrite that as a mixed number, I'd perform the long division. 12 goes into 30 twice. 2 times 12 is 24. Subtract that off, you get 6. Drop down the next thing, which is a 1. 12 goes into 61 5 times. 5 times 12 is 60. Subtract that off, and we get a remainder of 1. So the whole part is 25. The remainder is 1/12. By rounding and approximating, 5 3/8 times 4 2/3 is approximately 25, and we could do that in our head. Working through the arithmetic to get the exact value, we get that the exact value is 25 1/12. There are situations where the exact value does in fact matter. If you are trying to count up how much if you're trying to count up how many gold bars you need, making sure that you get the exact right amount of gold bars is going to be important. Whoever is buying gold bars is going to really care about getting things perfect. If your goal is to buy gallons of paint and you get that you need enough paint to cover 25 square feet, the difference between the amount of paint you are going to buy to cover 25 square feet or the amount of paint you're going to buy to cover 25 1/12 of a square foot is almost nothing. And in fact, because of the way paint is sold, you're probably going to have to buy a canister that is large enough to cover 250 square feet. So realizing that you are well within the limits of what the container you're buying can cover is all that really matters. Pay attention to the situation. When approximating and rounding is valuable, be sure to employ it. When knowing the exact value is valuable, be sure to employ that. For our purposes this semester, I will always be clear. If I want an approximation, I will tell you. If I do not tell you, I do not want an approximation. But that's just for the purposes of the exams in this class. When it comes to situations in the world, knowing when you can save yourself some time and knowing when you don't have to is an important skill in its own right. With that, I'd like you to take a look at the practice problems involving problem solving with fractions. See where you can get to with those. And I will see you next week for some videos on adding and subtracting fractions.